All right, Shalom. Before we get started, I want to give all glory and honor to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai. All right, double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone that are ruling well. Peace and safety to the Akim that's pushing his word in truth and sincerity. All right, so it's the brothers from the GMS Atlanta camp. Another Saturday. Seem like these videos are coming faster and faster. On our way to the camp, so we just gonna take this time to, build in the spirit and get our mind in tune for what we got ahead of us. So we're gonna just go and build in the spirit, dealing with the Northern Kingdom, man. Dealing with that side of the nation got awake. They got to be a great awakening, of the Northern Kingdom. Matter of fact, let's start with Ezekiel 37. Was that 37 and 16, I believe? We'll start there.
This is Ezekiel 37 and 16. Moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write it upon for Judah and for the children of Israel.
That's right, and that's what we do when we go to camp. That stick is the 12 tribe sign. Then the Judah part is speaking of the Southern Kingdom. Judah representing the kingdom of Judah. The so-called Negroes, the so-called so-called Haitians, and so-called West Indians, okay? And the scriptures tell us that the Lord was going to raise the tents of Judah first. So that's what happened, The Lord already did that. So it's time for that great entering of you so-called Mexicans, you so-called Puerto Ricans, you so-called Dominicans, you so-called Costa Ricans, you so-called Panamanians, all right? You so-called North American Indians and you Seminole Indians, all right? So it's time for the great awakening of the other side. Keep going.
For Judah and for the children of Israel, his companions. Then take another stick and write it upon it for Joseph.
For Joseph represents the Ephraim. Scriptures, when the scriptures speak about Joseph, is speaking of Ephraim. All right, because through Joseph's two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, were basically blessed in by Jacob at his basically his deathbed. All right, his last blessings was to do so. You know what that is?
Genesis 49 and
that might not be Genesis 49. Look that up on your phone. With Joseph, with Ephraim and Manasseh, we'll get that history. Because the scriptures tell you that Joseph, Joseph was handing over Manasseh to his father for the blessing, and then his father Jacob reached over and grabbed Ephraim, because Ephraim was the younger son. All right, but the blessing was to be given to Ephraim. Ephraim is the head tribe of the northern kingdom. You so-called Puerto Ricans. All right, all energy kind of flows onto you. All right, that's why the Lord is jacking you Ephraimites up, because the Lord put you in a serious position as a leader of the northern kingdom. And look what you've done. You pushed out an energy of idolatry, idol worshiping, being proud. All right, you found that yet? 48 come.
This is Genesis. I'm gonna start at 1.
Okay.
It's Genesis 48 and 1. And it came to pass after these things that one told Joseph, behold, thy father is sick, and he took with him his two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And one told Jacob and said, behold, thy son Joseph cometh unto thee. And Israel strengthened himself and sat upon the bed. And Jacob said unto Joseph, Most High Almighty appeared unto me at Luz and in the land of Canaan, and blessed me, and said unto me, behold, I will make thee fruitful and multiply thee, and I will make
that was the blessing that went on Ephraim, right? It didn't get it. Okay.
I didn't get it.
All right, keep going.
It says, and multiply thee, and I will make thee a multitude of people, and I will give this land to the seed after thee for an everlasting possession. It's talking about Israel getting.
That they were basically being blessed into the family.
It says, and now thy two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, which were born unto thee in the land of Egypt, before I came unto thee into Egypt, are mine as Reuben and Simeon.
Yeah, see, as our mind as Reuben and Simeon, because Reuben and Simeon came out of the loins of Jacob, which name was changed to Israel. All right, but through the Spirit, the Lord was pulling in Ephraim and Manasseh. Okay, because Joseph was actually Jacob's one of Jacob's favorite sons. That's why because the Lord was actually blessing him, showing him visions. That's why Judah and his other brothers sold him into slavery.
Yeah, come.
Keep going.
Yeah. You want me to jump to the point?
Yeah, you can jump to the point. Come.
This is Genesis 48 and 9. And Joseph said unto his father, They are my sons, whom the Most High hath given me in this place. And he said, Bring them, I pray thee, unto me, and I will bless them. Now the eyes of Israel were dim for age, so that he could not see. And he brought them near unto him, and kissed them, and embraced them. And Israel said unto Joseph, I had not thought to see thy face, and lo, the Most High has showed me also thy seed.
Oh, wait a minute, but you know what? The same thing happened a generation, actually, forgive me. The same thing happened with Jacob and Esau, right? He was in his old age. His eyesight was dimming. So, and that's how he was, for lack of a better term, was basically tricked by his wife and his son into giving the blessing to him instead of to Esau. So where's the outrage? See, people will come against us with outrage on somewhat deceit or somewhat things happening in a way that normally wouldn't happen. But that's another example of the Lord doing exactly what he wants to do. The Lord what? Through the Spirit talking to him, he said, no, it's him. Not him. And Manasseh was the firstborn. Keep going.
It says, and Joseph brought them out from between his knees, and he bowed himself with his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim in his right hand toward Israel, Ephraim in his right hand toward Israel, left hand, and Manasseh his left hand towards Israel's right hand, and brought them near unto him. And Israel stretched out his right hand, and laid it upon Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand upon Manasseh's head, guiding his hands wittingly, for Manasseh was the firstborn.
See?
And he blessed Joseph and said, The Most High, before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac did walk, the Most High which fed me all my life, long unto this day.
Con, you see, so Ephraim, being the younger sibling of Joseph, was actually given the birthright, all right, and was blessed in, and was given that basically over the period of time, was given the charge of being over the northern kingdom. All right. Same thing happened with Judah. Technically speaking, Reuben should be the head of the nation of Israel because he's the oldest. But according to the acts that he did by breaking, by laying down with
the
his father's concubine. Okay, the Lord took that position from him. And over time, it ended up with who? Judah. So we're reading in Ezekiel, the 37th chapter, about the heads of the nation of Israel, Judah and Ephraim. All right, so read it again.
You want me to start at the top?
You can start from the top.
Ezekiel 37:16. Moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write it upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel, his companions.
Keep going.
Then take another stick and write it upon for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, for all the house of Israel, his companions, and join them one to another into the stick.
And see, that's what the Lord's doing right now. All right, because when you read during the time of who was that? Rehoboam and Jeroboam, when the kingdom was split. All right, I think it was Rehoboam, when he was being set up. I think it was Nathaniel. All right, Nathaniel the prophet came to him and rent his garment. And he tore it, and he gave him 10 pieces. That was when the split of the nation of Israel occurred. So the nation of Israel has not been together since after the kingdom of Solomon, because those two sons came out after Solomon. Those two kings, that split happened after the King Solomon ruling. All right. So from that point on, we haven't been together as a nation. That's how you know that this is another sign and prophecy that we're getting closer to the Lord returning and delivering us, because he's bringing together the nation. All right, the two sticks is coming back to, the two sticks is becoming one again. Keep going.
And join them one to another into one stick. Yeah. And they shall become one in thy hand.
And they shall become one in thy hand. All right. There's a saying in the world where you have 5 fingers. All right, separate they do no damage, but together they bring together a mighty punch. And that's what the Lord's doing. He's bringing together the nation of Israel, all 12 tribes together to fight against this devil. All right. So a major key in this story of ours, finishing up our work, is bidding back the Northern Kingdom. All right, you so-called Puerto Ricans, you so-called Dominicans, Issacharites, you so-called Mexicans, you Brazilians. It's time for you all to wake up to who you are. Wake up to who your enemy is. All right, wake up to the fact that the so-called Negro is your brother. You Negroes, wake up to the fact that the so-called Mexicans and Puerto Ricans are your people, man. And only people that are especially you Israelites, you so-called bootleg Israelites that are the Mexicans aren't our people, the Puerto Ricans aren't our people, Native Americans aren't our people. You lack all kinds of culture. You've never been around the tribes. All you know is niggas and fried chicken. That's about it.
If I can say something.
Of course. And y'all brothers chime in, man.
Speaking on, you got them Israelites that say Issachar is not the Mexicans, right? Why does Esau push it so hard? Matter of fact, look at it like this. It's a black and white thing, right? You got the so-called black man hates the so-called white man, right? Why is it that Esau pushes the fact and he makes it I forget the word I want, but he basically, if you like for instance, if you go to California, right, it's the brown against the blacks. Why the hell is he putting such a division between the so-called Spanish tribes, Latin tribes, and the so-called Negroes? Why is he making that? He has to push that. He has to keep that division.
That's right, through his gangs.
Yeah,
through his gangs, through the prison system. All right, through just neighborhoods. Like here in Atlanta, if you go to the north side of Atlanta, all right, that's where the famous rap group the Migos. It ain't nothing but Migos up there. You get to Gwinnett County, Norcross. Okay, that's Issachar town. All right, and they live. Hey, I'm gonna hit you with this. When I remember when I first came into the truth, I ended up moving over there. Those Sonoma Ridge.
Yeah, Sonoma.
And I lived over there for like about 8.5 days, man. All right, and being up there, I was like, damn. I was like, nah, man. You think nigga apartments are bad? Go to Issacharite apartments. Go to so-called Mexican apartments. Them apartments be like, they be the trenches, man. Yeah. They live in the ghettos too. Yeah. All right, they dealing with the same exact curses as we are. The so-called white man hated them.
Yeah. You look at Genesis 49 where it talks about Issachar as I get it.
Yeah, kind of get it.
That's how you see. You gotta have a spiritual eye to understand that, man.
That's it.
The spirit of the Lord ain't with you if you can't understand this. And it's simple. This right here is simple. And
you know how you cut these individuals that want to move different tribes and different nations around, right? Like I was arguing with somebody on the comment board about no, not that one. That was another one. It was another one where this person was arguing about the fact that Japhet is the so-called Edomites. And I was like, no, they're not so. I said, and then they tried to say that the so-called white man was Esau's the so-called Iranians. And I'm like, see, when you start moving stuff around, you got to fill a place. When you got these Israelites that want to say that the Naphtali is the so-called Hawaiians. All right, so who are those people down there?
Right.
Are you telling me that one Latino tribe, that one group of Latinos down there in South America, that they're actually Japhet? You see what I'm saying? When you start moving pieces around, the equation still got to balance out.
Yeah, somebody got to be somebody.
Somebody got to be somebody.
But when they do that shit, they can't never prove their point though.
Never do that.
They never come with any scriptures to prove their point. They always just want to throw that shit out there. Confusion, man.
Just hope the shit sticks to the wall. You got that in Genesis? What you gonna bring up?
It's Genesis 49 and 14. It says Issachar is a strong ass, crouching down between two burdens.
And Issachar is a strong ass, man. All right. Peace.